as most new coffee drinkers do, filled my cup mostly with cream and sugar and like added a little coffee, almost like warm, coffee ice cream is kind of how I described it.
Sounds about right.
But I hated how much of that junk I was putting in my coffee. And a friend of mine introduced me to the idea of putting spice blends in my coffee. A lot of people put like a dash of cinnamon or nutmeg in their coffee. I actually got sick of making my own blends, and I thought, oh, somebody else must do this. And looking around, trying to find somebody else to buy it from, nobody does. And so that was the instant at which I was like, all right, I got to start. Yeah, that was one of those things that was, because I'd never been in the food business before. I didn't know what I needed to do. So because we were going to start selling across state lines from the beginning, we couldn't do it with a cottage permit, meaning I couldn't do it in my house. So we had to find a commercial kitchen. And fortunately, our little local senior center on Vashon Island rents out their commercial kitchen after hours. So that's where we started they would rent it out for like $25 an hour. It was like, it's the best resource ever. I feel so appreciative to them. If I were to break down kind of wholesale, D2C, Amazon and point of sale, Amazon's probably half of our business right now.
Okay.
Our D2C stuff is probably about 20%, wholesale 30%, and then point of sale is just kind of random along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's just so great for, other entrepreneurs to hear, because a lot of times they're trying to figure out which channels they should spend their time and effort and money to get set up. And, something like Amazon, which can take quite a bit to get set up on, but, from your experience, obviously it's been worth it. It's been able to help increase your sales quite a bit, it sounds like. We always wrap up our podcast with asking this question. It's, no surprise, probably. The show is called Recipe to Revenue. But I always want to hear from people, what has been the one thing that has made your business successful? What has been your recipe to revenue to where your business has gotten today? Welcome back to Recipe to Revenue. I am so excited to be here today with Christy Clemens, the founder of Vashon Island Coffee Company. And Christy and I actually found out we have a bunch of things in common, which is so exciting to find out when I do these things. But we go way back. We're both Tartans. And for those of you that don't know that is from Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh. So go Tartans. I always joke around with people. I'm like, oh, when they ask, they're like, what was your school mascot? I'm like, a pattern, a piece of material. I'm like, we have a really cute Scotty dog that would go around campus, right? So yeah, not a big sports school, but I loved being at Carnegie Mellon because I just thought it was such an amazing entrepreneurial space. It was just such a interdisciplinary world. And I loved, my favorite part about it was walking through campus, hearing the opera students singing while there was robots walking around campus. I thought that was the coolest thing.
That's so true. That's so true.
But one of the things too that I think is so great is the people, their journeys that they have gone on after they have left the school. And Christy, your experience, I find fascinating because you started as a chemical engineer, but now have a coffee company. So tell us a little bit about how did this happen?
Okay. So, it's a very long and complicated journey, but when I left Carnegie Mellon as a chemical engineer, I went to work for GE for a while. I was a process engineer, and through that kind of got into IT consulting and moved out to Seattle. And then during COVID, I was doing consulting in the IT space, but during COVID, I was a pretty new coffee drinker. And as most new coffee drinkers do, filled my cup mostly with cream and sugar and like added a little coffee.
That's sort of like the entry level way of getting into it, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like almost like warm, coffee ice cream is kind of how I described it.
Sounds about right.
But I hated how much of that junk I was putting in my coffee. And a friend of mine introduced me to the idea of putting spice blends in my coffee. A lot of people put like a dash of cinnamon or nutmeg in their coffee.
Mm-hmm.
She was actually mixing up different spice blends. And so I started trying that, playing around with different flavors, and figured out that I could add less cream and sugar by adding some spices. And so over time, I got off the cream and sugar. I'm proud to say now that I am a black coffee drinker just with coffee dust.
Wow. So you've converted now. You're fully into the coffee appreciation part of this journey. So.
Yes. Yes. So, and I actually got sick of making my own blends, and I thought, oh, somebody else must do this. And looking around, trying to find somebody else to buy it from, nobody does. And so that was the instant at which I was like, all right, I got to start. I got to start something, because other people need to know this.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So my first experience with adding like spices and stuff to coffee is I'm going to say the S word, Starbucks, with putting nutmeg or cinnamon on top of your coffee that they have on the counter where they have all the milk and what, that type of thing. But I haven't actually heard about putting it into the actual coffee beforehand. So, was there somebody that introduced you to that, or did you do some of your own research? How did you find this out?
Yeah, it's so my friend Kim is the one who introduced me to it. Kim Carver. She's the to me, she's the birthplace of coffee dust, right? Nice. I always joke that other people have the great ideas. I'm just really good at executing them. And so when I figured out that nobody else was doing this, I called Kim up and I was like, "We got to start a company." And her first message back to me was like, "Yes, I'm in." And the next day she goes, "I don't have time to do this. You do it." And so she still helps me a lot. I have her total blessing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really a matter of just like finding those fun blends, just cinnamon on its own or nutmeg on its own kind of gets boring. And it turns out with all of these spices, whether you do a single spice or a blend, you can add them to, your cup after you brew, which is what I do. You can froth them with your milk. You can add them to the brew process. It's all just kind of, there's pros and cons to all of them. If you want to go into them, I can talk more about that, but I go really deep on that.
Yes, this has been your world now. So you've had the business for a couple of years.
4 years. I started in 2021, so just over 4 years.
Yeah. So how do you think your engineering background has kind of helped you enter the food and beverage space? Is it just been a good segue to do something different, or have you actually brought some of your engineering life into this?
I've definitely brought some of the rigor. I like try and do like experimentation well, right? I'm not the best at it, but I really, as we try and, mess around with different messaging, social media posts, audiences, just what our website looks like, tracking what those changes are, what our conversion rate was before and what it was after, or like, what are the metrics that I'm really going to experiment with? I feel like that was a lot of what I got out of my engineering degree, out of being at GE as a Six Sigma black belt. It was like that measurement stuff, right? And are we making an impact? Are we moving the needle?
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, having that level of experience in a completely different industry though, but bringing it to here, I'm sure you probably expedited your whole process by like several years of like how to get this business off the ground. So when you were starting making your own coffee dust blends, and so tell us a little bit more about like where you started with different flavors and your experimentation process.
Yeah. So the original blend is based off of Kim's original recipe. And that's what we call our Captain's Coffee Dust, which is the name of her dog. So like that's a little nod to Kim and her family, which is cinnamon and nutmeg and turmeric and a little bit of cardamom. It's a super great blend. Yeah. And then I wanted like a little bit of a Mexican chocolate idea. And so I started playing around with cocoa and cayenne. And so we have our Hot Mama coffee dust blend, which is basically it's cocoa, cayenne, cinnamon, and a little bit of sea salt, which is super fun.
It sounds delicious.
And I've had some, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that sounds delicious. I love that whole Mexican coffee and chocolate blend. It's just great combination.
Yeah. It's been super fun to play around with different flavors. I've definitely had some losers, like do not add sage to your coffee. It's sort of like it smells and tastes like you should be eating a pot roast, but you're drinking coffee, so don't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, very acquired taste, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah. And then for every other year or so, we do what I call the March Madness of coffee dust, which is lots of people will just enter what they think should be the next coffee dust flavor,
Mm-hmm.
and we do brackets and like taste tests and stuff like that, which has been super fun. So Cocoa Calm was actually the winner of the first one. So that's like a cocoa and lavender and sea salt,
Oh,
which
wow.
is super fun. We've done cocoa and mint. We have a gingerbread flavor. So, and then we've like
Nice.
tried lots of other things that are really random that I don't think would ever sell. So, like
Mm-hmm.
garlic coffee, for example, uh, is surprisingly good if
Fascinating.
anybody wants to go try that.
Yeah. So, okay, describe a little bit what the taste of that is when the coffee mixes with the garlic.
Of the garlic coffee. It
Yeah.
is, you know, weirdly, it is exactly what you would expect. I mean, it tastes like
Uh-huh.
garlic and coffee,
Yeah.
okay? And it is like got a little bit of that spicy, and it's like, this is weird, but it's also, you get to the other side of it, and it's like, but it's kind of good.
You're like, oh, why do I like this now?
I mean, maybe we would call it vampire dust or something. I'm not sure
Mm.
if we ever went to
I
market.
love that. Love that idea. Great name. Great for a seasonal like Halloween launch or something to push it out around then.
I love that. Yes.
Excellent. So you do a lot of experimentation, and then do you put it out to like small batches to the market to see what sells, or are you using family and friends to kind of be your guinea pigs for new flavors? How do you go about that?
So early on, of course, I used family and friends, but I got a lot of feedback, or not feedback. I got a lot of advice and
Mm-hmm.
uh, from from other entrepreneurs, which was be careful of family and friends because they're going to give you really nice feedback, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the first things that I did was just post to my sort of local Vashon Island Facebook page and said, "Hey, I'm starting this new company. I want a bunch of strangers to
Yeah.
try this and give me really honest feedback." And I drove around the island delivering, random tins of coffee dust to
Nice.
people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Smart.
Yeah. And we absolutely have started with very small batches, both in like the, for the blends themselves, but also in our packaging. And that's
Mm-hmm.
been really helpful. So we can constantly sort of tweak our packaging and labels and messaging and things like that. And I feel like I have a lot of control over that when we're doing it ourselves. And then as it's gotten more proven, then we've gone
Mm-hmm.
to bigger runs and feel like it can be a little more stable with
Yeah. Yeah. With the growth and scaling of it.
yeah,
So
exactly.
talk to us a little bit about your manufacturing process. From like when you first started to where you are today. How is that? What does that look like?
Yeah, that was one of those things that was, I had, because I'd never been in the food business before. I didn't know what I
Mm-hmm.
needed to do. So because we were going
Yeah.
to start selling across state lines from the beginning, we couldn't do it with a cottage permit, meaning I couldn't do it in my house. So we had to find a
Mm-hmm.
commercial kitchen.
Yeah.
And fortunately, our little local senior center on Vashon Island rents out their commercial kitchen after hours. So that's where we started they
Yeah.
were rented out for like $25 an hour. It was like, it's the best resource ever. I feel so appreciative to
Yeah.
them.
That's great.
And we would be there with the Bridge Club on Tuesday nights,
Mm-hmm.
at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
You kind of have a built-in group right there to test it out too.
Yeah, you might think so, but they really didn't like us very much because we were very loud and
Oh, okay.
boisterous,
You're
and
you're
they wanted
disrupting bridge
quiet.
time. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But so we were in the senior center for the first few years, and then
Mm-hmm.
at the end of last year we started moving into our own production facility. So we have so much more flexibility, and people can work when they want. And I have a great team
Mm-hmm.
that comes in and does our production, and I have somebody who does shipping, and they're fabulous to like
Yeah.
make all of this stuff really come to life.
Oh, that's so fantastic. So, like, you really, I mean, when you think about your whole journey of it from the idea to building out your infrastructure and your marketing, and I want to talk more about the marketing in a minute too. But what has been the most surprising aspect of this journey for you?
I think it's just it's all of these little small wins that
Mm-hmm.
have kind of accumulated, there's not
Yeah.
like one big surprise. It's just, and I think sometimes people look at entrepreneurs and they see, oh, I just heard about you, and it seems like you went viral really fast, or like, but often
Yeah.
behind that there's like so much grind and like
Yeah.
mistakes, and I feel like I've lived that, right? And we're still living
Mm-hmm.
that. But like,
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning we had tins blowing up because we didn't have them sealed properly, and we'd send them we sent them to a buyer at a really big chain, and she was like, yeah, I loved the idea, but they arrived and there was just like cinnamon and turmeric surrounding,
Oh
just like this
no.
package of like spices, yes,
Yeah.
that exploded. So there's been ups and downs, but it's been super fun. I think if I had to say one thing that was the biggest surprise, it was really, it's just the thing that everybody says of like, marketing does not work word of mouth, right? Even if you have the best product in the world and everybody loves it, word
Mm-hmm.
of mouth is like a thing that's this big, but
Yeah.
it won't make you go viral, and you really need to work at that. My
Yeah.
my sister, who's in marketing, has seen me eat my words quite a lot because I didn't understand what she did before this, and now I do, and I have much more respect for
Yeah.
her career and how that works.
Yeah. So having a sister that was watching your journey for you, who was in marketing, when you were getting going, did she have any advice for you, words of wisdom?
Always.
Yeah.
Yes. She has absolutely helped me on just kind of like, understand who are like personas and target customers, and
Mm-hmm.
what might the messaging be, and how might we experiment with those kinds of things.
Yeah.
She's another great example of like, I have so many people in my life. I feel very lucky about this, who
Mm-hmm.
love to talk about this and brainstorm ideas, whether it's
Yeah.
flavors or where we can, get some extra media, or how we might kind of, do something different. I've
Mm-hmm.
had even customers have come to me and said, "Oh, could you do this?" And a trade show product, for example, like a little trade show
Mm.
giveaway product. Well,
Yeah.
our new product, right, is like, that wasn't
Yeah.
my idea, but I can
Yeah.
execute on this.
Well, that's a great point about, in really listening to people's feedback about what they're, even if it's unsolicited sometimes, that they're out there, they're seeing the competition from a different lens than you are, whether they've purchased it or have seen it out, on shelves and where it's placed or what their messaging is and what's resonating. So you could really learn a lot from all that.
Yeah, I think that sort of staying in a beginner's mindset, staying curious is
Yeah.
is so huge in being able to like really make those small pivots and figure out what's going to work
Hmm.
for your customers.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Staying curious is a great piece of advice there. Um, okay. So I want to go back to your journey of, so I believe you got started selling at farmers markets. Is that
Yeah,
right? Okay.
yeah,
So you
that's right.
started at the farmers markets. Tell us about how you went from there to the next steps that followed.
So I went to like our local Vashon farmers market, which in a town of 10 or 11,000 people is quite small. But it was a great way to just kind of test things out. I still love going to markets because it's such an opportunity to meet so many customers face to face and
Yeah.
just see them try it for the first time, and what's their reaction and what are they thinking about. So that is something that I absolutely still do,
Hmm.
just like on a slightly bigger scale. So I go to
Yeah.
bigger pop-ups and festivals and things now.
Yeah.
When I first started, I spun up a website on Shopify, which we still have.
Hmm.
And that was also my point of sale system so that I could
Hmm.
sell at the market. So both of those came up at about the same time.
Yeah.
And then, got onto Etsy, started playing around with wholesale. So we sell we have like some boutique gift stores that we sell at. It does really well at boutique gift stores, but also like Uncommon Goods and
Mm-hmm.
Made in Washington store and things like that.
Yeah.
And then last year we got onto Amazon, so that's a pretty big lift for us in terms of revenue and sales. So
Yeah. So let's go back to like someplace like Uncommon Goods for a moment. So what was your process like to actually get in there? And then for those who don't know, super cool website catalog that has really unique products. I mean, Uncommon Goods, right? But great for gifts. I love them for finding unique gifts for people.
yeah, and honestly, like I've heard that they reach out to people sometimes when they find them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I feel like somebody that I knew got on to Uncommon Goods, and I was like, well, I think coffee dust should be on there. How do we do
Yeah.
that? And there's an opportunity just on their website because they also accept people's proposals. And so I did
Mm-hmm.
that and just said, hey, I think you guys should carry coffee dust. And they said, yeah, send us some. And sure enough, next thing
Nice.
they just kind of approve it and
Yeah.
off we are to the races. So yeah.
Very exciting. And so thinking of retail sales versus your own e-commerce sales through Shopify, what has been more successful for you? Which channel?
Like it's constantly changing, but
Mm-hmm.
I would say because we got onto Amazon about a year ago, that's ramping up quite quickly.
Yeah.
And markets are very hit and miss depending on if I'm doing them or not, or if it's a big one.
Uh-huh.
But if I were to break down kind of wholesale, D2C, Amazon and point of sale, Amazon's probably half of our business right now.
Okay.
Our D2C stuff is probably about 20%, wholesale 30%, and then point of sale is just kind of random along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's just so great for, other entrepreneurs to hear, because a lot of times they're trying to figure out which channels they should spend their time and effort and money to get set up. And, something like Amazon, which can take quite a bit to get set up on, but from your experience, obviously it's been worth it. It's been able to help increase your sales quite a bit, it sounds like.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel very lucky that I found a good consulting partner, and so because I heard so many stories about getting onto Amazon, and it can be really difficult. They can shut you down pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the most intuitive thing to do, despite the fact that all of their customer facing stuff is very intuitive.
Right.
So getting some help with that, I think, was a key factor in our success there.
Yeah, excellent. And so, yeah, you had mentioned having a consultant. And I think, for anybody who has explored Amazon or thinking of Amazon, it's quite cumbersome. There's a lot of things you need to get approved, like your brand messaging, if you have your items are trademarked and all these things. So it's not like Etsy, where you can have your product up in, basically a few minutes with some product photos. So it's quite a bit more expensive. Yeah, that's so that brings me back to what I wanted to bring up about marketing in terms of, you had mentioned a little bit about earned media, and that you had said that was something that was also very helpful for you. So just kind of walk us through a little bit about your marketing process, how you have integrated earned media along with social, maybe your email marketing. What has been successful for you? Or
yeah, so you just hit on the three that we tend to focus on. Really, we have not done a lot of paid ads. We've experimented with them a little, with the exception of Amazon. So Amazon is a little bit of a pay to play platform. So we do pay for ads there, but on social, on Google, we really don't pay for ads. I've been much more focused on that earned media, getting journalists' attention, building a great newsletter list, and then doing some social posting and keeping things in front of people. Yeah. So, and I really liked the earned media. I think part of that is that we had some success early on. My social media person, Erin, pitched Real Simple a few years ago now. And we saw such a lift, and it was right around like the holidays and
perfect timing.
Gift guide. And And she did that just by building a relationship on LinkedIn with somebody who had written gift guides for them in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And we had no affiliate link at that point. And so that was like, okay, that's like, we understand the potential there for earned media wins.
Yeah.
And so we have kept going after them. So we had a big win a couple of months ago in June, with the Tim Ferriss newsletter that goes out to like 1.5 million people by sending them some product, right? So I do send out a lot of free product to people, to journalists in particular. And we've played around with influencers a little bit, but haven't gotten a lot of traction there. So I tend to stick to traditional media. But yeah, and like I was on like a Seattle morning show and things like that. So that's been great. And I continue to spend a pretty significant amount of my time pitching journalists every week.
Yeah, that's, it's one of those things that it's such a long lead time. You have to you're not going to get these fast wins, which is, really the difference between paid ads. You can see results quickly, but you are paying every single day, every single click to get that person to your site. And then, the size of that audience is, as big as your budget allows. So, versus the earned media, we're building those relationships, figuring out what their editorial schedules are. You had mentioned a holiday gift giving list, and now we're in August. Right now is the time when people are starting to pitch for the holidays. So like knowing that, you may be like, oh, we just missed it for this season. So you have to wait a whole year, a whole cycle before you can get in a holiday gift guide again.
Yeah. And we still have pretty good luck with things like Mother's Day and Father's Day.
Yeah.
But it's not the same as like November or December holidays. For sure. Yeah. And we are absolutely pitching gift guides now.
Yeah.
But partially because our little sampler pack, this little guy, is such a great gift that we do about 60% of our revenue in Q4 because of holidays.
Yeah. Yeah. That is something definitely people should pay attention to, that number, because if you have a product that's very giftable and you're in the e-commerce space, especially too, that this is the quarter that makes or breaks your business.
Yes.
And then you see after, what we have seen with our clients, so after January, 2nd, is a pretty big decline until like you get a good holiday, around May or so, like a Mother's Day, or depending what the product is, if there could be another, maybe like even the Super Bowl could be a lift for certain types of clients. So, you got to really work your calendar.
Yeah. And paying attention to those. And I think it's so easy to come upon them and be like, oh, it's 3 days away from Valentine's Day. I should be, doing something about that. But if you're trying to get into media, you have to do that a month or two ahead of time.
Right.
So really, knowing that calendar and sticking to it and being ahead of it is huge.
Yeah. So, so you had mentioned about sending out free product, right? So how do you decide, like at what point in the relationship are you offering up free product to them?
I'll do it pretty early. And then depending on what I feel the opportunity is, based on how many eyeballs I think they're going to get, whether that's, how big their Instagram following is, or, how many viewers they get, things like that. I will decide to send out just, like a couple of flavors versus the whole 6-pack, versus I usually am sending the little mini tins though, just so they can try a bunch of different flavors and then decide.
Yeah. So again, it's good to have variety in your package sizing, so you can send out something that isn't hurting your budget too bad. But
right. And I feel very lucky that I sort of happened into a product that both does not need refrigeration or freezer space, right?
Yeah.
It's light, it's easy to ship, it is very shelf stable, so it lasts a long time. That's all just luck.
Yeah.
For me.
We'll say it was very strategic planning, but luck is part of it.
Yes.
It's in the like food and beverage space, like, we have to ship out bottles of, a liquid, like that's going to add to your shipping costs quite a bit.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So it's pretty easy for us to send off some samples and see what people think. I think I tend to overdo that a little bit, but I'm okay with it. Right. Like I think I'd rather kind of get the word out there. And the other thing, now that we have this trade show giveaway gift, which is just like one little mini tin on a custom printed business card.
Oh, nice.
I figured, very early on when somebody asked me for that, I was like, wait, this is brilliant. You're going to pay me to give these away. And then I get like this big distribution. You're going to order 400 of these things. And then I get, like a huge reach out of that. And I was like, no brainer. So now how do I go after more of those like giveaways?
Oh my goodness. I could totally see like realtors giving those away at like open houses and stuff.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, and honestly, that worked. There was an open house we went to. They had the most delicious salted caramels. And I ended up ordering a couple boxes of them for a trade show that we were going to as a giveaway for us. So people keep that in mind.
Yes.
Okay, I want to go back to the product itself for a moment. And, so because different spices obviously they have different benefits for, it's not just about taste. In some cases, like turmeric and, cinnamon, like can have, blood pressure benefits and things like that. So is that something that, do you look at it from a functional standpoint as well? Or is it really just about the unique taste?
I mean, I started doing this because I knew that stuff was good for me in some way, but it was more about the taste. Yeah. But as I've gotten further into it, there's so many studies out there about, cayenne is great for your metabolism and ginger is great for your gut and your microbiome and cinnamon is great for your blood pressure, right? So there is absolutely studies out there. I can't claim those things on my packaging because we haven't done the tests with these blends. So, but the reason that Healthful has both turmeric and black pepper in it is because those two things paired together are great for inflammation, right? But you don't get the same benefits of turmeric for your inflammation unless you're also having some black pepper with it because it's that combo.
Yeah. Interesting. So do you use that in any of your marketing messaging? You can't put it on packaging, but do you use that in your messaging?
Yes, absolutely. Because I think it's like people kind of know in the background they're good for you, but they don't necessarily know which spice does what thing. And so we probably need to do more of that, but yes, we absolutely will do like little infographics with some of those benefits. And we'll send out the studies occasionally of like, hey, new study came out. I'm, on a Google alert for any studies that come out related to not just coffee, but also any of the spices that we use.
Any of your ingredients. Yeah. So as you've like developed your different, packages and the business, I'm thinking in terms of like, where have you put your effort in terms of the marketing side outside of, like earned media, like in terms of the packaging itself, package design, the branding of it, and then your messaging, like what has been the most important piece of it for you?
From a packaging perspective, it's evolved over time. We started with, if I were to call out one most important part, it's sustainability. That's the core thing that I'm paying attention to in all of our packaging, and just making sure that we're limiting the amount of plastic, both in our own packaging, but trying to do that with our suppliers as well, which is not always the easiest thing. But I love the, craft boxes. And so we're going to stick with that. I just put an order in, quite scary for us, for like 15,000 boxes, but they'll be custom printed.
Nice. Congratulations. Big step.
Yeah. So I've got a fabulous designer who I found through 99 Designs, honestly. She did our logo originally. And then I just kind of reached out to her and said, could you do this one little thing and like, design some of our, some of our marketing material and things like that. And she's been fabulous. And she's been with us for, I think, three years, maybe even longer than that, maybe 4.
Yeah. When you find somebody that just can bring your brand to life the way that you hope for it to be, you want to stick working with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, in addition to sustainability, what has been some ways that you've been, in terms of managing the business, like any other principles that have been important to you?
I'm really big because I did a lot of leadership coaching and
Mm-hmm.
consulting in the IT space. That's something I very much pay attention to, is just my team, and are they happy, and do they feel like they have an opportunity to, like, update the process and make
Mm-hmm.
suggestions. And so we're constantly just having conversations about, how can we make this better? And what if we moved these tables around? Or what if we got a different tool, or things like that, in the production process or in the
Yeah.
shipping process, which has been really fun. Um, what else do I kind of stick to? I mean, one of our core principles and values is just having fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we just had our employee summer party,
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, so that was just like, I want everybody to feel like they are really a part of this team, and
Mm-hmm.
we celebrate these things, and
Yeah.
it's nobody's career to be like, I want to pack coffee dust, right? But how can we make it as fun for them as possible to, like, have a
Yeah.
little side gig and make some extra cash?
Yeah. Yeah. That they feel that they're a part of something exciting and that, has
Yeah,
meaning,
and
right? So,
frankly, helping people have healthier mornings too, which is
yeah.
great. And like the team really, I think, associates with
Yeah.
that.
And to go back to one of your very first points about, the different flavoring and stuff that you can buy, to put in your coffee. Like, you look at the ingredients of some of these things and just like, I feel like, am I just pouring a bunch of like chemicals and sugar into my body? Like, what? Not a good way to start the day.
Yeah, and for example, some of our blends, they taste amazing, but they kind of settle out a little bit. Gingerbread is a great example. It
Mm-hmm.
settles out a little bit, but I
Yeah.
refuse to put fillers or binders into these things, because I want ingredients that we all know, that we can pronounce, that are
Yeah.
real, that are something that we could make in our own kitchen, right?
Yeah.
And don't have these extra things that were like, just that are questionable, and like, what is
Mm-hmm.
this? I don't know what it is. I don't want to put it in my body.
Right.
So we
Yeah.
definitely use real ingredients.
There's just so much more, I think, attention to that now too. One of my favorite apps is Yuka. I don't know if you've tried that one out yet, but you scan the barcodes of your food and beverage products. You could also do it for your like beauty products, like your shampoo, and it checks all the ingredients, and then it tells you, rates it from 0 to 100 if it's how healthy it is for you. It has completely revolutionized my grocery shopping. It also takes me double the time to do grocery shopping because I am literally scanning everything now. But some of
Right.
these things that you're like, oh, I thought that was good, but actually they use uh, a coloring agent in there that is shown to have more inflammation or something like that. So,
Yeah.
and it gives you suggestions of alternatives, which I love.
Oh, I'm going to have to check this out. I'm
Yeah.
very excited.
So, yes, I have become a diehard Yuka fan. So
Just wrote it down. So
yeah,
I'm
yes,
on it.
everybody should check it out. Okay, so we always wrap up our podcast with asking this question. It's no surprise, probably. The show is called Recipe to Revenue. But I always want to hear from people, what has been the one thing that has made your business successful? What has been your recipe to revenue to where your business has gotten today?
I would say earned media is the key for us. It's
Yeah.
that it's not relying on ads. It's how do we get the word out through people who have some following, who have some trust in, the people that do follow them, trust them to make good recommendations and things like that.
Yeah.
And so that's been super fun to just find who are those people who are kind of the next big fans of coffee dust. And also, it's almost word of mouth marketing, but it's, at a larger scale, right?
Yeah.
So that has definitely been, I would say that's our recipe for revenue for coffee dust, at least so far. I think at some point that, we'll get big enough that doesn't make as much sense to be our sole focus. We'll see. But up to this point, it's been fabulous.
Yeah, but it's working for you to continue to grow the business now and to create that brand awareness to actually drive sales for you. And so, it's hitting all those things to help elevate your success right now.
For sure. Yes.
Oh, well, excellent. I appreciate so much hearing your story and all of your advice, and share with everybody where they can find you, where they can purchase your product.
Yeah, vashoncoffeedust.com, VASHON, or just Google search coffee dust. You'll find us.
Yeah.
You can find us on Amazon. You can there's a few places in the local stores. Go into your local gift boutiques and ask them if they have coffee dust, and if they don't, hand them my email address or
Yes,
something.
absolutely. Come on, let's help create that word of mouth demand.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and then
Well,
on
yeah.
like Instagram and Facebook, we're at Vashon Coffee Dust.
Fantastic. So yeah, and we'll put the links down in the comments so everybody can click through. But Christy, thank you so much for your time today. It has been so nice to chat with you and hear your story.
Thanks, Leah. Thanks for having me. And go Tartans.
Yes, go Tartans. All right. Thanks. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.